Today on The Social, Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's new book, Original Sin, has caused a political firestorm. Why did the Democrats keep so much from the public during Biden's run for re-election? And does Leafs Nation put too much pressure on players to perform in the playoffs? We discuss their disastrous Game 7 loss. Then, it's getting hot in here. Whether you like it grilled, smoked, or spit roasted, sinfully delicious live fire recipes from Chef Michael Smith that'll leave you hungry for more. Plus, Ballet's leading man. Guillaume Côté looks back on 26 years with the National Ballet of Canada and reveals how he's prepping for his final bow. It all starts now on The Social.
Wonderful long weekend, everybody. Welcome to the show. Why don't we kick it off with news that is sort of taking over everywhere? Former U.S. President Joe Biden just revealed on Sunday that he has an aggressive form of prostate cancer, which has already spread to his bones. But this news came just days before the publication of a brand new book called Original Sin. It's an explosive book by journalists Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, which chronicles Biden's decline throughout his time in the White House, as well as efforts by his top staff and family to keep that deterioration hidden from voters. Okay, timing, the book, the information. What do we make of these revelations? And also, why did the Democrats keep so much, it seems, from the public during Biden's run for re-election?
Well,
my goodness.
I think we all know why the Democrats kept it to themselves. You're going up against Donald Trump. He'll use anything. He'll make things up to like win a race. For me, this was an epic fail because of the timing. I'm in favor of a book being written, especially a book about a president, someone who is serving the public. But it's the timing. For me, this is the type of book that comes out years after this president has passed away, not days after it is announced that they have a diagnosis of cancer. And that, for me, is where it's rubbing me the wrong way. Also, we have a journalist where he's choosing to capitalize financially on telling us this information. If this was a special on CNN, I'd be like, I get it. If this was a one-on-one interview with his family or even with Biden, I'd be like, I get it. But the fact that you wrote a book and you're going to make money off of this person at the worst time of their life and their family's life, for me, is that's why he loses me.
I don't know if I see it as making money, but first of all, I think it's possible and even really, really important that we're able to hold two truths at the same time together, so we can be deeply empathetic towards Biden and his family and deeply concerned that the Democratic leadership messed up so much and they were not transparent with the American public. I think those are two very important things, and we have to be able to hold them at the same time because we've got 4 more years of this. You know what I mean? Like, we have to. No?
I mean, you are a big fan of CNN and Jake Tapper, and...
Yeah, I think he's a great journalist, and I think the book is fair game to write the book, but I agree with you, Andrea, when I think about the timing, and I don't think he could have known. I'm not saying for a second that Jake knew that this diagnosis was coming, but for me, I just think that this is such a devastating diagnosis for Joe Biden and for his family. It's aggressive. We don't know that he's going to come out of this. He's already a pretty old, frail person. And I just think if cancer has touched any family, this is the worst time of their lives. And you actually have this problem. And I'm not going to downplay the deterioration. Some people are using the word cover-up. I don't know. What I know is that in the last 6 months, less than 6 months, America has bigger problems than Joe Biden. And to me,
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. But
if there's a book to be written, it's about what's been happening for the last 5
Sure,
months.
I just think
if we can't handle 2 well-researched books, because there's a second well-researched book that have hundreds and hundreds of sources that are written by some of the country's, America's top journalists, if we can't handle 2 well-researched books, how are we going to handle the next 4 years?
Yeah. It's not about handling the book.
We have to be able to hold these two.
It's not that we can't handle the information. It's the timing. It really comes down to timing.
I know that a book takes like several, a long time. We've all written books. We know that process takes some time. So this research would have started ages ago. And so could they have known possibly that it would dovetail into this diagnosis? There's no way. So you just kind of have to move forward. And the thing is that what time will be a good time to contemplate what the Democrats did wrong? And I think that this is the thing. We knew in the lead up, everyone was watching it happen, being like, are they putting Joe Biden out there again? He doesn't seem to be able to string a sentence together. But the entire Democratic Party was like lobbying behind him. And I think the public, not necessarily us, but the American public for sure deserves to know what happened. Why were they so singularly focused on Joe Biden when it was apparent on many occasions? There was an example they gave in the book where he was at an event, he didn't recognize George Clooney. I mean, you couldn't pick a more recognizable face in the world, but that was less serious than him sort of referring to his communications director as sort of like the press. He had all these mistakes and gaffes, and I think he was suffering. So I think it raises the question of would there be a madman in the White House right now if the Democratic Party had looked like with clear eyes at Joe Biden and selected another candidate to put forward? Would we be in this mess that we are now? And that's something that the public has to sit with. We do.
Uncomfortable truths, right?
Yeah.
Uncomfortable truths.
But I just want to point out that Donald Trump is not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and he has just as many mental gaps that we've seen him in public at a podium saying things that were so incorrect that we're all going, is he serious? And he doesn't know. And so I feel like my point is, if Jake Tapper wanted to write a book, it's far more interesting what's going on with this current administration than talking about a person who's near the end of their life, who was a lifelong politician, who was well known for working with people on both sides of the aisle, something that their current president cannot also say.
It's true, but speaking of Trump, the team now, Team Trump, is taking this book, and it is a feeding frenzy. And you have people, vile people like Donald Trump Jr., saying, how did Dr. Jill Biden, by the way, she's not an MD, dum-dum. How did Dr. Jill Biden miss a stage 4 cancer diagnosis? Like, they're using this now as, you see, it's all a cover-up.
And that's horrible.
I would argue that questioning the motives behind releasing these 2 books right now is sort of using far-right logic, in the sense of we can only have, Biden has to be this, we have to put these things in a box, his illness, and then I think Biden's actually a scapegoat. I think it's the Democratic aides and his colleagues who are mostly to blame for this disastrous failure. But we should be able to hold both of those things at the same time. By questioning it, we sound like those tweets.
I know, but do you think Jake Tapper was ignorant to the fact that this book with this information was not going to be very liked by the Republican Party and by Donald Trump?
If we want to hang on to how, we talk all the time about how important journalism is. And this is a traditional journalist by all, who has done the research and put it out. Just because we don't like the content or the timing doesn't mean that truth shouldn't get out there. We cannot go and play and cherry pick when we decide that journalism is okay.
I want to make sure it's clear. I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not saying that I'm going to say it again. I don't have a problem with the information. I don't have a problem with the research. I have a problem with the timing and the fact that he is monetizing this. This is not a special on CNN that we all can tune into tonight at 9 o'clock. This is come and buy my book. So there is a motive there. You do have to question.
But the New York Times is making money with everything that they're documenting about this. Everyone is making money.
News is a business.
Don't you see the democratic principle to have to relay this information to the American public?
So that you can learn going forward that actually it seems like, again, I'll give you another example. This book also explores the tactics that the White House were engaging in to dissuade the media from reporting on Joe Biden's health concerns, including a strategy that encouraged Democratic operatives to attack journalists publicly. That sounds like something out of a right-wing playbook, does it not? So the fact that that was happening, again, the Democratic Party maybe needs to, reckon with what are some of the things that they've sunk into as a result of Donald Trump and his tactics, and reassemble, reformulate so that they are the biggest powerhouse that they can be going forward in 4 years.
Yeah. What I hope also to see I think it's fair game, and I think he's a journalist. He can write a book. What I'm also hoping to see is a book about Donald Trump.
Oh, it will happen.
Sure,
I'm
it
hoping,
will happen.
I'm hoping that I see Jack.
I guess the difference is it is out there. There's movies, there's documentaries.
But
there's
Jake,
like,
I want to see Jake. It's equal. So I want to see.
Oh, Jake has spent his entire career dogging Trump.
I know,
his entire career
write
dogging
that
Trump.
book as well. That's all I'm asking. Write that book as
I'd be
well.
more angry if this book didn't come out, because the subject matter is exactly what we're critiquing right now. It's being manipulative and trying to sway the public.
Yeah, sure. Listen, great debate. I just have to say, great debate. Another great debate when we come back. Do we as Leafs Nation, at least for those of us who are part of it, put too much pressure on our players? Do we? Yeah, we're going to talk about that disastrous Game 7 loss after this.
Tomorrow on The Social, Lilo and Stitch stars Tia Carrere and Courtney B. Vance tell us about tackling the eagerly anticipated live-action remake. This week on The Social, hats off to spring, a curated selection of warm weather accessories to keep you cool but serving hot.
Well, okay, if you're like, I want to get in on this combo, I feel you. You can find us on all of our social media channels. You have your thoughts heard there. Get your thumbs busy.
It seems like every year a devastated Leafs Nation is left wondering why it loves so hard and winds up heartbroken again. Florida Panthers forward Matthew Tkachuk shared his thoughts on the Spittin' Chicklets podcast.
If their team was not in like Toronto dealing with all like the crazy circus stuff outside of it, like they'd be like an unbelievable team and like such a hard team to play. Like they just have so much to deal with, and I feel bad. I mean, we don't have to deal with that in Florida, and I feel like that's what makes me and my team so lucky. But like you almost use that against them, you know, like the pressure that these guys have to deal with day in and day out.
I see some people nodding. Yeah. I see some people, is pressure a viable excuse for poor performance? Mel, I'm throwing it to you first.
Well, thank you for that. First of all, I have a lot to say about this because that is a Panthers player, right? Tkachuk is a Panthers player, and he just admitted that his fan base sucks compared to ours. That's what he just said.
That's one way to look at it, yeah.
That's what I just said.
So
you're like, basically he's saying we don't have pressure to play good because people don't really care that much about hockey down in Florida. Like, that's what I heard. Number two that I heard, that pressure thing, it sounds like it makes sense, but that's coming from the opposing team. There was somebody on TSN this morning who was saying that is the way of Panthers trolling the Leafs. None of the Leafs have ever said, oh, that's a lot of pressure to play here. Now, we might believe that's the case, but I want to believe that if you are one of the top paid players in the NHL, that you're going to deliver because of the pressure.
That's why they gave you the paycheck.
That's
why they gave you the paycheck.
I know. Maybe no one said it publicly, but I do know somebody who dated a Leaf like 10 years ago. I don't know what Leaf, but anyway, it was a Leaf. But she did say that during the playoff season that they were under immense amount of pressure, and I feel like that's not something you would vulnerably show.
I told you that in confidence. Sorry.
But the question is, you guys can deal with that after the show. Yeah. The question is that a good enough reason to buckle? It is what you are paid to do.
Listen, I'm also going to chime in on this one as well, because I think that any professional athlete who plays for a New York team, Rangers, Mets, they're going, I'm sorry, you want to talk fans and pressure? New York is a city where they are unrelenting, so I'm like, I'm not buying it. Secondly, I feel like all of the Olympic athletes who are like, oh, that's nice, every year you have a chance. Well, we get a chance every 4 years, and we have to do all of these things to even qualify to compete again. And if we don't win, we don't get the endorsement money, which means we have no cash and we are broke. So I feel like there's some professional athletes out there going, please miss me with your team with all of the things that you need in order to win, and you're guaranteed paycheck. You have been playing, this is another part I don't understand. You have been playing in front of fans your entire life.
So what's the answer? You feel like they should be paid less as a result?
You know what? Here's an idea, and we talked about this. If you don't win, you don't get paid, or we don't. You win, there's a financial incentive.
Or go the opposite opposite, which is like bonus pay. Like they do get bonus, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
but there should be an incentive. You know that there are guys, and I'm going to call them out, and I know your families are probably watching, and we love you, John Tavares. We love you, Mitch Marner. These are born and raised Toronto boys. They have slept, and breathed the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they have dreamed of this moment their entire life.
So what happened?
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, go.
Year. For the Leafs fans, year after year, what keeps you coming back?
Well, the hope. I think I feel like I can speak for those of you who are fans. I think it's the hope that they will bring home a Stanley Cup. Many people have that memory of living through that or hearing about their father or their grandfather living through that, and they want to have that happen again. And I think the thing is that, like, let's compare it to a relationship, okay? So let's say
this is an abusive relationship.
No, I don't think it is. I think that depends on the lens you're looking at. I think if you have somebody who performs well in the bedroom, day after day, week after week, and goes goes the distance, and then just once in a blue moon, it doesn't work out so well.
When it matters.
When it matters every time, but they try very hard. Would you be like, I'm done with this relationship, I'm walking out?
Wait. Have I paid for this?
Well, this is a good question.
Because if I paid for it, you better deliver.
I just think, like, I wonder right now what I watched, and again, I don't have a dog in this hunt, but I did watch my partner watch the game where everybody was like walked out and midway through the game. And I just wonder as a player if that is demotivating, especially at that point. I wonder
if I was there, I would have walked out. And I'm going to tell you what.
But it didn't help.
Big money.
People did walk out and they didn't win.
These people paid thousands of dollars for those seats.
But you're still
thousands of dollars.
Like it didn't work. So maybe try a different technique. That's all I'm saying.
We should applaud them for almost trying. No?
Yes.
You know what? I want to applaud Cynthia for taking up for the hockey players.
I tried hockey players.
She did it. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so BuzzFeed has a list of celebrities that seem to have immunity from public scorn, like Zendaya and Tom Hanks. So who is a celebrity you could never, ever hate?
I feel like everyone can agree with this is fellow Canadian Keanu Reeves.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Nicest man in the world, right?
Absolutely
There are
incredible.
countless stories about what he has done, like moving out, giving up his seat for a woman on the New York subway. He's donated tons and tons of money. I just think he's a kind person.
And also someone that you would date in real life.
He looks a lot like Jason, guys.
Also,
yeah. Looks a lot like my husband.
It's
for me, it's just an obvious answer. It's Oprah Winfrey. I feel like she could burn something down. I'd be like, you know what? Oprah probably had a good reason. She was appointment television for me, for a lot of us, for decades, and I learned so much from her, so I feel like I'm giving her immunity. She can do whatever she wants.
What about you, Jess?
My pick might not be a fan favorite, but it's a personal favorite, and that is Mr. Hugh Grant.
Oh! Wow, controversial!
I just love him. He's a little cantankerous these days. He doesn't like a heck of a lot, but he's true to himself, and I really, really enjoy him. I think he's incredibly funny.
Wow.
I enjoy him.
How about you?
Yeah, that was a curveball.
That was a turn.
For me, it's super easy. I thought of one name and one name only. Stevie Wonder.
Oh,
Nobody has one bad thing to say about Stevie.
No, it's true.
A genius, philanthropist, talent.
He does have a reputation for stealing people's girlfriends away from them, so.
You know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Small, it's petty crap.
Listen, speaking of celebs, Chef Michael Smith is back here with smoking hot recipes from his new live fire cookbook. Let's take a break. We'll be back after this.
Welcome back, everybody. Our next guest is a kitchen giant, both figuratively and literally. He's an award-winning chef, best-selling cookbook author, TV host, and the proprietor of the stunning Inn at Bay Fortune in Prince Edward Island.
And his latest book is described as a celebration of the intoxicating power of live fire cooking. Sounds very sexy. Please welcome the author of Wood, Fire, and Smoke. It's the one and only Michael Smith.
Hey!
He came on down to our level.
Hey! Let's get intoxicated, shall we?
Let's get intoxicated.
Right.
Let's talk about the Inn at Bay Fortune. It's
Thank
such
you.
a beautiful place, and it's known for your fireworks feast,
yes,
right?
10 years ago, my wife Chaz and I bought the Inn at Bay Fortune, where I cooked all those years ago, and reinvented it. We have a culinary farm. We grow everything. We serve hundreds of varieties a year.
Yeah,
we forage every day, and We cook it all with live fire, more than 15 fires a day.
Jeez.
So I just spent 10 years of my life earning and learning this knowledge, cooking with live fire, traveling the world, figuring it out. It's like, I feel like this book's the best thing I've ever done in my whole life.
I love this. Can you speak to me really quickly about where that love of fire comes from?
You know, first it came from traveling the world for all those years, doing all those shows, but always wanting to just go home, light a fire in the backyard, get a few beers, get my buddies, and just hang out. You know, and now what I understand, though, is as an adult, for me, it's about presence. Fire, you've got to show up.
That's a great point.
You gotta be there.
You gotta be there.
And the fire knows when you're not.
Yeah.
And, you know, so when you are there, there's a Zen-like presence to it.
I like that.
It draws you in. You're so present. It's like meditating.
Yeah,
I
love
it.
your passion. I love your passion.
Oh my God, I love cooking with fire. Nothing like it.
All right, so talking about that passion for cooking over, there are many different ways to cook with live fire.
Yes, there
so can
are.
you describe some of them for us?
There absolutely are. There's so many variables. You know, for instance, do we want the fire present or not? Do we cook to the side of the fire, over the fire, next to the fire, in the embers? What kind of wood do we use? There's so many different variables, and all of that is in the book. But this is also a book for folks that just like to grill a little bit in the backyard and level it up, look for different ways. One of the things I find fascinating about fire is that it is a universal method.
Yeah, you're right.
All over the world.
So true.
And when you cook with fire, you have an innate curiosity. And we're all in it together. And I found myself in conversations all over the world with like-minded people. And we're just fascinated by each other and what we do and sharing that knowledge and that passion. So the book has got something for everybody, backyard, but also every technique I could think of in the entire world is in this book.
Michael, I am curious about the food in front of us. So let's get to it, starting with our first dish, which is hay smoked salmon?
Hay smoked salmon, sure. So if you have a standard issue grill in your backyard, you can grill up some salmon, follow the recipe at the last second, you throw some hay in the grill.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question.
And you get smoke, and you get smoked salmon.
Okay, so where are we getting that hay? Just in case we live in the city.
Sure.
And we don't have access to hay, where can we get the hay?
You got access.
Yeah.
Straight to your pet food store.
Oh, the pet food store.
Straight to the pet food store. Yep, Timothy hay.
And stuff.
Oh my gosh.
My kids use it with their hamsters.
You gotta try this.
Okay, I'm about to eat. Okay, but I'm so fascinated because I was like, where do I get hay? I haven't seen hay in a long time. All right, so you're also serving this salmon with maritime mustard pickles.
Yes, maritime mustard pickles.
Yeah.
Anybody from the Maritimes? You know what this is.
It's a classic,
It's
right?
a classic. Like all over the world, every culture has its own condiments. And in the Maritimes, that's ours. It's a celebration of the season.
It's gorgeous. This is beautiful.
I
and
could eat just the pickles alone.
The maritime, that pickle recipe's in the book?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you very much, because I want to make them, because this is the best maritime pickles I've ever had. Let's move on to our next dish, which is a grilled chicken thigh salad. And I feel like chicken thighs, like a lot of people used to go to the chicken breast, you know, but I feel like they're coming back.
Yes.
Talk to me about why chicken thighs are perfect for grilling.
They're back because they're tastier than the breast and they're economical.
Yep.
Okay, now look, I cook for my family. I am very much my family's cook, so I'm constantly cooking chicken thighs.
Yeah.
This is like a Tuesday night kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and they are so built for the grill. Like, you cannot screw a chicken thigh up on the grill. You can't screw it up.
Challenge accepted.
I'm like,
there you go. Prove me wrong.
You haven't seen us at the grill yet. I don't know about that. We might be able to screw it up, but I love
So this is a salad. This is like so much of the world where the meat is the additional component, the added component. So there's smashed cucumbers and mint and an interesting dressing marinade. This is a technique that crosses the world of fire, where we use the same concoction as a marinade, and then later in the process, we use it as a dressing.
All right, okay, so let's go to the next one, because you know every little live fire meal needs a side, and corn is the best side.
Oh, there's nothing like grilled corn.
Oh my gosh, this is beautiful.
Now, if anybody's been to Mexico, you've seen this. This is straight up street food. And again, street food is a huge part of the book, because street food is where we see fire so often all over the world. Economical cooking style. So this is grilled corn. And we layer it on with that classic Mexican. There's cumin and lime juice. And there's a little mayonnaise and that cojita cheese. That cheese.
I'm too scared to eat.
And then lots of lime juice.
Oh,
there you go.
Get me in there, chef.
That's how you do it. This is so simple. This is the easiest thing in the world to do.
This is
and if
gorgeous.
you're grilling in the backyard or you're going to a grilling potluck or something and you want to win,
this is a star.
Take
It's a
the
crowd
grill
pleaser.
first.
Everyone's going to be so happy. So this cookbook is lucky number 13.
Yeah.
That is a big, big deal.
Hey.
And I can't imagine being that inspired about anything to create that many recipes. How do you ever get sort of chef's block?
No.
Never?
No,
You
no,
never do?
No, here's why. Because what I do, I'm so blessed for so many years, what I do always reflects my real life.
Yeah.
I'm not called upon to be something that I'm not. You know, I just spent 10 years of my life devoted to this, to wood, fire, and smoke. And I'm so proud of what I've learned through my own hands. And more than that, just what I've been able to teach to the cooks around me, to the young people around me that come to our restaurant to learn how to grow what we serve, but to learn these techniques.
Oh my God,
So
that's
no,
beautiful.
I'm not losing my passion, not one bit.
You remind me that there's nothing better than talking to someone who really loves what they do.
Like being in a room with people that believe the same thing. You know? Yes.
Okay, but and I believe that your food's really delicious. So let's talk about the next dish. That strawberry shortcake. Talk to us about it.
Strawberry shortcake. So this is actually the shortcake from the Village Feast, Prince Edward Island, our great big Kenyan Schoolhouse fundraiser, July 6th.
I don't even know how to get
But this one, we've leveled it up by setting the strawberries on fire. Flambéed strawberries, and a little tarragon whipped cream never hurt either.
That is so good. Listen, Michael, we can sit here and eat with you all day. Thank you so much for
Let's do
stopping
it.
by. Congratulations on your book, lucky number 13.
Thank you. Wood, fire, and smoke!
Everybody at home, Wood, Fire, and Smoke is available now, so make sure to check it out in studio audience. Guess what?
Hey!
Michael is saying, everyone, I want their own copy! Woo! After the break, another Canadian icon, National Ballet of Canada principal dancer Guillaume Côté is here. You don't want to miss it. This...
Welcome back. Our next guest has captured audiences as one of the most foremost leaders in Canadian ballet.
And now, after 26 years with the National Ballet of Canada, he is bidding adieu to the company one last time. Please welcome to The Social, the one and only Guillaume Côté. Welcome. Welcome to the show. I want to start at the beginning because do you have an early memory of falling in love with dance or ballet? You grew up in Quebec. Was there something that happened that you saw that started this journey?
Yeah, so I grew up in Métabetchouan-Lacalacroix, a very small town up north.
C'est quoi encore? Quoi?
Métabetchouan-Lacalacroix.
Okay, merci.
It's a very small town.
Yes.
And it's, needless to say, it's a hockey town. It's not a ballet town. And I was lucky enough to one day sort of be, I was this little kid watching the television, and there was a film called White Nights with Mikhail Baryshnikov and Gregory Hines. And I was watching that going, this is the most incredible thing these people are doing. And never did I ever think in my wildest dreams that I would end up with Mikhail Baryshnikov on stage many years later. But it was, for sure one of those moments that changed my life. And then my parents started a little ballet school with some friends in my hometown because they wanted to bring some culture to the hometown in Quebec. And so, yeah, I danced with a lot of my cousins. I had a lot of cousins. And I had some beautiful memories of dancing in church basements with my cousins in full gold unitards.
We just saw that.
Yeah, we just saw it. It was so cute. But you mentioned you were in a hockey town. I'm a mother of a son, and sports are really impressed upon. So it must have been hard to be a little kid, a little boy who's saying like, I'm going to do something different. And you were 11 years old when you moved to Toronto. and you joined the National Ballet. So that's incredible.
Wow.
What was that experience like for you?
Listen, I have kids now. My daughter is 10 years old. I would never let her go. So the biggest sacrifice was for my parents. You know, I think I was 11 years old, and as a parent now, I can see my parents really had the foresight to see that I was passionate about something. Listen, I went to English-speaking Toronto. This was before FaceTime. This was before all that stuff. So I would talk to them maybe once a week. It was hugely costly to talk to them on the phone. So for me, it was a huge leap into the unknown, into the abyss of possibilities. But I was really a kid who was very curious. I didn't speak a word of English when I arrived. But the beautiful thing is dance is this international language, and I was already pretty good at that. So
Let's talk about some of your work, because over the years, your work with the National Ballet has introduced audiences to some really creative stories that we don't necessarily or typically hear of or think of when we think classical ballet, such as Frame by Frame and Le Petit Prince, for example. Talk to us about that creativity and then that experimenting that comes from that work. How do you make that work?
I think I'm an audience-friendly choreographer. I would say that what is really amazing for me is that I've never lost the little boy from Quebec. I have a lot of friends even who come to the ballet who are not ballet lovers. And, you know, and they're quite honest with me sometimes. You know, ballet can be intimidating. It can be an intimidating thing to come and see. You know, sometimes it's long, it's in these opera houses, it's costly. So, you know, for me, the projects that I take on are always with collaborators that shake things up, that make things that are maybe more accessible, that there's ways that they sort of, you know, give us a different dimension to dance. And so, yeah, that's how I'm kind of gearing towards my next career as well, as a director of my own company. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about this for a minute, because as we've seen, like, you've been with the National Ballet your entire career, and I can only imagine the types of relationships and experiences like you've grown up there. So explain to us the decision that came to you that you were, I'm going to walk away and I'm going to retire at 43. In any other realm, that would be a very early retirement.
Yeah, but not in dance, though. I have to say, in dance, I'm an old guy. Like, you know, in a beautiful thing, I've managed to almost stretch my career longer than most. Men usually will retire between 35 and 40, you know, and so 43 is quite old. But you know, the nice thing though is that, you know, now I'm not gonna go and play bingo and, you know, and do pickleball or anything. I'm moving on to something that is an extension of my love for dance, which you know, I see as a very brand new beginning. Ballet is a young person's game. I'm really also truly happy to say that I'm leaving the National Ballet of Canada with an unbelievable roster of incredible dancers behind. So, so I couldn't be any more proud to just be there and now to watch the shows.
Okay, I mean, listen, before then, I mean, you are still going to be saying your goodbyes, bidding adieu.
Yes.
And I don't know where you even begin to work on your sort of final project with the company. So walk us through your final bow, your adieu in Grand Mirage.
Grand Mirage. So I decided to make a work that was that would resonate very true to where I am now. So I wanted to depict the mental state of, you know, going through the stages of grief. And, you know, the stages of grief are of an interesting thing, and saying goodbye, we always say, you know, on to the next thing, and it's so great, and so, you know, it's celebration, but it's also really tough. It's frustrating. It's what we live through is hard. Saying goodbye in this way is a true grief. So I made a work that is really going to be emotional. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be an emotional week for me. Every day, so I perform sort of the half-hour work at the end of the program. And I'm really, really looking forward to being on that stage one last time.
Wow. It's going to be big.
Okay.
It's going to be big.
Karen Kane she's been on the show as well. She's quoted as saying, "You're one of the greatest dancers that Canada has ever produced." That is incredibly high praise coming from her.
Wow.
It is, and well deserved. What does legacy look like at this point in your life?
I think, you know, if I could have inspired anyone else to dance, I think that's what legacy is to me. I hope my career will inspire young dancers to want to pursue dance and to want to come and see dance. And, you know, I think legacy, too, is this idea that you know, that I've also managed to benefit from Karen Kane's legacy. She created the National Ballet of Canada the way that it is now. The public, the way that the company interacts with our, you know, with our lovers. It's such a really great thing because dance is really evolving in a really great way, and that's a really good segue because I think my company, the way that I want to bring this new energy, for me is a way that I can let loose. You know, like, because classical ballet has these forms that are so great and exciting, but it does have a strict form. So right now, I love the form, I love the virtuosity of classical ballet, but with my company on June 6th, what we're presenting is a work that not only takes that virtuosity, but also combines it with different styles of dance. And these 9 dancers that I've selected, some of the best dancers in Toronto.
Can we quickly, we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Your new company is called Côté Dance.
That's right.
You're going to be creating art that is accessible for everyone. What does that mean exactly? Quickly tell us.
You know, just to give you an idea, this show, Burn Baby Burn, on June 6, 7, 8, is it's 1 hour long. It's super incredibly high energy. It's a celebration of dance. It's a celebration of energy, of love for dance. You know, it does have a message of sort of this denial of global warming. But the really great thing for me is that it will feel like an after party to my retirement on June 5th. So I'm really happy.
Guillaume, congratulations on an illustrious career. It is not done. It's just the evolution of Guillaume Côté, and thank you for being here.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We want to see and tell you, see Guillaume bid adieu with a series of final performances starting on May the 30th. Get your tickets at the National Ballet of Canada. We're going to take a quick break and be back right after this.
Welcome back. I read the first 3 books in the Hunger Games series a long time ago when I was working at a little show called Inner Space. And I even learned how to use a bow and arrow like Katniss during that time. Needless to say, I was intrigued by this month's social chapter selection, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins.
Yes, it's set in a world of Panem 24 years before the original Hunger Games series. This prequel tells the story of legendary survivor Haymitch Abernathy. Take a listen.
The crowd thickens, but I can see one of the 12-year-olds up front trying to hide that he's crying. In 2 years, Sid will be there. I wonder whether it'll be me or Ma who sits him down beforehand and explains about his role in the reaping. How he has to look nice and keep his mouth shut and not cause any trouble. Even if the unthinkable happens and his name gets drawn, he's got to suck it up, put on the bravest face he can muster, and climb onto that stage because resistance is not an option.
Okay, we all have 20 seconds to sound off on this audible. Mel, why don't you go first?
Oh, do I have to? Okay, fine. I was generous with a 6.5 out of 10, and here's why. If you've even read one Hunger Games book, you already know the ending to this book. The question then becomes, do you care enough about the main character to want to stick around for hours of listening just to get his backstories? For me, no. Haymitch Abernathy is not compelling enough for me to want to know how he became Haymitch Abernathy. Maybe it's an obvious means to an end, like the release of another Hunger Games movie. Anyway, finally, the real news of the world is too depressing, so this listen just added on to that. Now, Andrea, what about you?
I love when you say it with all your heart. All right, so I gave this 7.5 out of 10, and here's why. First, the title is very misleading. So if you're thinking it's a nature memoir, spoiler, it's not. Turns out it's a very dark political drama with teenagers, bird symbolism, and a guy who treats fashion and murder with equal seriousness. And I've never seen or read The Hunger Games, I know, which made it a bit hard to follow, but I would describe it like Shakespeare meets reality TV. So if you're a fan, you're gonna love it. But if you're like me and you're a newbie, it may not be your cup of tea. Just say it. Yeah. Cynthia, what did you think?
Okay, Andrea, I gave this an 8 out of 10, and here's why. While I personally didn't connect with it, I think the fans of The Hunger Games, as you mentioned, will really enjoy revisiting this world and uncovering Haymitch's backstory. It's ultimately a tragic tale that highlights the darker side of adult leadership and the strength and resilience of teenagers. This is probably why it still resonates so deeply with the YA audience. I'm not a part of it, but I understand it.
Listen.
Jess, what about you?
I gave this an 8.2 out of 10, and here's why. Because it's a return to this thrilling sci-fi world that feels both brand new and also satisfyingly familiar. The story is sharp, packed with high drama, big twists, and a few gasp out loud moments. Plus, there's a new villain, smart, savvy, and so deliciously sinister, you'll be dying to see him get volunteered as tribute. Yeah!
All right, so we've all given our takes. The Hunger Games premise is really grim. So what do you think about a series of children killing children? Why do you think it's so popular?
That's a great question. But do you think it's, like, humans, we're complicated, because I feel like we've been sort of obsessed with this kind of stuff for a while. Shows our dark, most basic instincts. Greek tragedies, we're always sacrificing kids. We got Lord of the Flies a little more recently.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with us? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as entirely about kids killing kids. It is about irresponsible adults who are doing this for their own entertainment.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not about a story about kids killing kids. It's about adults who are making kids kill kids.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think this is the loss of innocence for kids.
I do too, and the reminder that kids actually end up figuring a lot of stuff out themselves. I think that's why they love it so much.
That's right.
What's wrong with adults? Sorry, that's another topic.
Well, I don't know if you've been watching the show long enough, you know I'm a survivalist. Like, I could actually survive in the arena and beyond. So would you do okay surviving out in the wild in this arena, or would you just sort of give up and be killed? What would you think, Andrea?
I think if it came down between them or me, it's definitely not, it's gonna be them, it's not gonna be me.
Really?
Yeah. Listen, I grew up downtown, I was riding public transit at age 9. I dare you to come at me. I also got my gun license decades ago, so I wouldn't mess with me too much. So I feel confident that I'm a little scrappy. Now, don't take me by my summer dress, scrappy.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
How are you doing?
Well, I've never had to test my survival skills, but a couple of times.
Have you been on public transit?
Well, yeah, a couple of times I've had to run to make the GO train, and I've jumped on right when the doors were closing. So I think I'd survive really well in the wild.
Did anyone ever play that game Survival with their school, where you get assigned like a different animal, and you'd either be like a small, like a squirrel, or you'd be like a wolf, or you'd be a human? I think I was a deer once at one of those things, and I survived by hiding. So I'd be okay. I'd dodge you.
I love that.
Dodge you. I'd be all right.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, you guys know I'm a survivalist, so I'm the one you're going to come to. I'll find you water. I'll get you good food. I'm going to build you a perfect place to live.
We're coming to your place. We're coming to your
my
bunker.
place.
We protect her at all costs,
Yeah.
is what we do. All right, well, this Audible original definitely got us talking. And good news, you can join me and Jess on Instagram Live today at 4:30 Eastern to continue this awesome conversation, including our thoughts on teenage love and whether or not we believe that there is one person, only one person on this big planet that's just for you. I got a juicy story to share. You don't want to miss it.
But now it's time for the big reveal. May I have a drum roll, please? Our next social chapter selection is the Audible original Sacrilege, Curse of the Imbirwi, starring Stranger Things' Caleb McLaughlin. This heart-stopping psychological thriller plunges listeners into a world where ancient spirits collide with inner wounds and family secrets are as deadly as the strange beasts that stalk the savannah.
Wow. I love how you say savannah, not Savannah.
Savannah!
Stylistic. Okay, everybody, be sure to head to audible.ca. That's where you can pre-order it for yourself. You can also scan the trusty QR code that's on the screen. It'll take you right there. Don't forget, your first audiobook is free with your membership. So what are you waiting for? Join us for the next listen, will ya? Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break. That was a great social chapter. We'll be back right after this. Tomorrow is a must-watch show. One and only Lily Singh is going to be dropping by. She's going to tell us about the exciting new season of Battle of the Generations. We love Lily Singh. We also love the stars of Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch. Ready for it? Hold on. Tia Carrere is going to be here. Filipino royalty! And also, Courtney B. Vance. Why do you know that name? Oh, married to Angela Bassett. A great actor in his own right, obviously.
Yes, of course,
obviously.
of course.
So tomorrow, the stars will be here at the social. Catch us on Crave, catch us on YouTube. That was a Filipino thing. Crave, it's actually crave. We're gonna catch you same time, same place tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.